everyone, it's Helen, and today I thought I would wrap up my last week of the Woodies Roundup Readathon, and then I thought I might as well do the whole month's wrap up for February, because there was only one other book that I read outside of the Readathon books. So I will start with that one first. So I read The Seven Kinds of People You Meet in Bookshops by Shaun Bythell. I gave this one star. The reason I give it 1 star is because I read his other 2 books, The Confessions of a Bookseller and The Diary of a Bookseller, and loved both of them. I think it's most bookworms' dream to own a bookshop, a second-hand bookshop, and I loved them. Really dry wit, describing all the customers that came in and the things he'd sold, and going to people's houses and finding out what books they had and offering them money for them. It was just, they were both great reads, and if he did anything like that again, I would go out and buy it. But this came, it was tiny when it comes, so I was a little bit disappointed anyway. But I feel like this was just a quick money grabbing effort for Christmas time. And just maybe off the back of the other book's popularity, he decided to do this, and I just wasn't impressed. The humour turned into just negativity about people, and I thought, oh, I might spot some of the characters that come into a library, because bookshops and libraries, the people who come in might be quite similar, but it was just really broad and I just wasn't a fan. So I would read one of his other books if he brought another year of The Life in the Bookshop, but yeah, I really didn't like this at all. I only carried on reading it because I was buddy reading it with some friends, and in the end some of them decided not to bother with it, because there was 2 of us who really didn't like it. So that was that one. So then with the Readathon, the first book I read was A Year of Living Simply by Kate Humble. I decided to read this for the Barbie prompt, read a book you have unrealistic expectations for. I read a book a while ago by Kate Humble about walking, and it made me want to do the Wye Valley Walk. I was just really impressed with that book. She comes across really well. And so when I read this book about living simply, I've done all the reading the Marie Kondo books about decluttering, and I think with the stress that everybody goes through in everyday life, and I'm not just talking about now with lockdown and everything, but overwhelmed with like technology, emails, just everybody lives such a busy life. Anything to do with simple living, I just eat it up. So I read that book. I thought it was going to be a 5-star, which is why I felt like I had unrealistic expectations for it, but I still give it 4 stars. She wrote really well. She did a lot of talk about gardening, and there was a whole chapter on her garden, and she kept talking about her garden throughout, and I just thought, I'm just not green fingered at all. So that's why it didn't get the 5-star. But yeah, I used that for Barbie, like I said, and I gave it 4 stars. So yeah, I would recommend if you like the idea of looking into simple living. The next book I read was Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. I got this from my library, so that meant I'd stole it. It was for the character of Buzz, read a sci-fi book. I buddy read this one with Jessica from the Lady Lovestead channel. I was glad that a character from Cinder turned up in Scarlet, and I really want to read Cress as well now, and me and Jessica are going to read that it's on my TBR for March. I can't say too much about it, but it's just a retelling of the well, I'm assuming it'll be Red Riding Hood. She's looking for her grandma, like Red Riding Hood is. It's loosely based, and it's talking about cyborgs and living in a future world, really. So yeah, really enjoyed that. I give it 4 stars. That's a YA book. The next book I read was Tangle of Spells by Michelle Harrison. I read this for Stretch, read a book set near or at the sea. I gave this one 5 stars. I bought this I'd pre-ordered this from Waterstones, and I asked Becca from the Becca Fowler channel if she wanted to buddy read it, and we did it together. And we both said like how each one of them's gone darker, but like I was thinking, the girls are growing up in these stories, so I feel like because they're growing, the readers are going to grow, and um, so it is going to get darker and more spooky. And I messaged Michelle Harrison after I'd finished to say how much I'd loved it, and she said she's working on another one. And when I messaged Becca about that, she like me thought there was only going to be three, so that's quite exciting that there's going to be another one yet again. So I think this could run and run, because the amount of things that the sisters could come up against is just awesome. So yeah, that was a 5 star. Then for Monkey, read an audiobook or a book with a loud cover. I decided to read an audiobook because I'm doing a read along of, excuse me, The Selection by Kira Cass. Rereading all of that series again, but this time I'm going to read the novellas in between. I definitely wanted to start the first one in February, which I did on audiobook on Scribs, and loved it as much as the first time. I give it 5 stars. It's a YA, another one that's kind of set in a future where there's been great wars. You know, there are terrorists in this as well who are trying to upend the country and trying to get rid of the royals. So it's basically a story about, it's like The Bachelor meets the Hunger Games. So the prince is trying to find a partner, and so basically all eligible maidens are able to in the world, even though there's different castes of numbers of people who are really well off, who are in like castes 1 and 2, and then it works its way down. I think the lower castes are like 7s and 8s maybe. The main character in this, America, I think she's a 5. Anyway, it's really interesting. Like I said, I'm doing that read along. If you want to join in, just ask and I'll put you in our Discord group. The next month I am reading, what's the next one that I'm reading? The Elite and the Guard novella. So I'm reading them in March. They're on my TBR. So yeah, 5 star for that one. Then I tried to steal The Soldiers, which was read a book that contains a squad or a team main focus. I decided to read Daisy Jones and the Six for this because I thought a band are like a team. I buddy read this with Key from Books and Key. I ended up reading, I think she was listening to the audiobook, I was reading the physical book, and she'd got a bit ahead on the audiobook, so then I went a bit ahead, and when it comes to the last section, I decided to carry on. So I've messaged Key to see if she's finished it yet, but we were both really enjoying it, and we did have things to discuss. Another one that I got from the library, so it could be classed as a steal, and I gave that 4 stars. I don't know if I found it. I definitely didn't like it as much as I liked Devil in Hugo, also by Taylor Jenkins Reid. That was a very special book, but I did really like this, which is why I gave it 4 stars. I don't know if I felt like some people did, where they felt like it was really based on a true band. I never read it and felt like, oh, this is like it's on a true band, or the same with Evelyn Hugo. I never thought, oh, this is like, I have to check this isn't a real person. I didn't feel that way, but I did feel for the characters. But like I said, I didn't feel as much of the characters as I did in Evelyn Hugo. So yeah, it's well worth a read if you haven't already, and it's definitely made me want to read more Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. Then for the next one I read, I was doing this for Big Baby, a book you were intimidated by. I was going to read Postscript by Cecilia Ahern because I had it as a Kindle book. I treated myself to, I think it was in a sale for 99p, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to get that, keep meaning to read it. But when I started listening, what did I listen to on audiobook? Oh, I can't remember. I think I was reading it off an ebook that I'd got from Kindle, but then I managed to find it on, I think it was Scribd. So I started listening because I've never done that before, read and listened at the same time. I definitely will be trying that again. However, it was good. It was clear that it was going to be quite heartbreaking at times. Holly was going to be had been approached by other people who wanted to do similar for their relatives as Jerry had done for her. And I can't say, if you've read it, you know. Um, I can't say too much because it'll spoil it, but basically they wanted to do for their family what Jerry had done for her, and I just thought this is going to be really. I mean, uplift. It's known to be uplifting. It says it's an uplifting book, but I knew it was going to be very sad in parts and things that I just didn't want to cope with at the time. So then I decided, well, actually, because the team book, you could use that to get rid of any prompt. I decided to get rid of Big Baby, so I read this in place of that. So I read The Strange World Travel Agency by L.D. Lipinski. Boy, was I disappointed with that book. I read majority of it on the sprints that I did with Lily, Livy, Elise, and Darian. We did it one Sunday night, and then, or was it a Saturday? No, it was a Saturday night, and then I finished the rest of it off mostly on a Sunday morning sprint with Mel and Ellie. And I carried on with it because it was the team book and I felt responsible for picking that team book. Carried on with it because it was the team book that I'd picked and I'd wanted to read it for a long time. And it just wasn't what I thought it was. It just dragged. And like I said to the girls, I've read so many good middle grade, like Frost Heart, like the Michelle Harrison series, like one of the Roald Dahls that I read today quickly at the end of the readathon, and there's just too many good middle grades now for me to give really high ratings for ones that are just a bit average. I do want to read the next one in case it gets better, because some series they do get better as the books go on. But I give that 3 star in the end. And I read that on my Kindle because I'd got it on. I think I just paid like 99p for it on Kindle or something. For the next one, I picked the Ken prompt, a book with a pretty cover, and I read Remazer, a fairy tale. Oh, I didn't show it. I've got Tangled spells here. I don't know why I didn't show that at the time. Remazer by Readathon. It's an uncredited Macmillan proof that was sent to me. It's basically 3 fairy tales, Rapunzel, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty, but told from an alternative point of view. So it's actually Remazer, Cinderella, and Sleeping Sarah. And what's lovely about this book is the princesses aren't all white with blonde hair. For instance, Remazer, who I'd say is the main character and kind of sweeps in the other stories, she wears a hijab, and I think for young girls' representation of themselves in stories, it's so important to have books like this. I gave this 3 stars, and the reason I give it 3 stars was because I wanted it to be longer, and the stories were really short, so I didn't feel like they took on much of a life of their own. And the real ending that I wanted for one of the characters, you never saw it. You never got the resolution at the end, and I don't know if that's because they're going to try and do a sequel to carry on the fairy tales or not, because at the end of the day they're based off fairy tales that don't have any further sequels. But we will see. But it wasn't bad. I would definitely recommend this. It's just I wanted more from it and I was a little bit disappointed, but it is beautiful, this cover. But I've seen the actual cover and it's all multicoloured and gorgeous, so I don't know if that's a US one and this is the UK one, or whether they've just progressed it from this because this is a proof. I don't know, but I will pass this on to somebody else in the book cheer community. So the next one that I did was I decided to steal. Oh no, I didn't steal it. It was part of my character's lot. So read a book you had forgotten about. A little while ago, I bought an Audible with one of my credits, Quite by Claudia Winkleman. Now I love Claudia Winkleman. I loved her when she started doing It Takes Two for Strictly. I was really disappointed when she left, but then when she got the job alongside Tess on the main programme, I was delighted. She's just my kind of person. She's a bit weird in parts, and that's what I like about her as well. She doesn't care. She's her own person. She dresses how she wants, she does makeup how she wants. But then reading this book, Quite, which is basically her opinions on a lot of things, just made me fall in love with her even more. I gave it 5 stars. I listened to it on audio, like I said, through Audible. and I would really suggest that for this, because I've read some of the reviews and they've said they were a bit disappointed because it didn't come across very well, some of her opinions. But actually, if you listen to her voice, you can tell which bits are dry humour and sarcastic. But the way she talks about her family, her friendships, her mum, it's just, oh, I just love it. And I can't recommend it enough. Yeah, she talks a bit about Strictly, but it's not a Strictly companion, and it's not a biography as well, talking back from her early life and through. It's just her opinions on different topics, and it's a book. Even though I don't reread very often, and certainly not many non-fiction ones, I will definitely be reading again because I loved it that much. So that was for Lotso. Then during the last week, I found out that Fern Britton was doing on Facebook Live, reading 10 to 15 minutes of her book. Well, she started with one book this week, and she did each night she did 10 or 15 minutes. So I think she must have done about 8 chapters in total of this book. But she sits by her fire and she just reads it to you. It's just lovely. And I enjoyed it that much that obviously I'd listen to each night. And obviously it's on at 6:30 each evening, Monday to Friday, but you don't have to go on and do it. You can go back and watch it. And then I realised she does an omnibus on the Sunday of all the chapters she's read that week. So I did that, and then I managed to get the book on Scribd. It's called Hidden Treasures, and I decided to listen to the rest of it this weekend, and I loved it. I give it 4 stars. It's about a woman called Helen, like me, and she basically has gone through a divorce, or is going through a divorce, and decides to move to Cornwall in this little village. And I love books about little villages where everybody knows everybody's business and people are trying to move on with their lives. And it's just about that, her getting involved in that community. But I really cared about the characters. I enjoyed listening to the audiobook because I'd already been listening to Fern telling the story, so I enjoyed that side of it. And I decided to read that for, let me think now, Hidden Treasures. Read a book. Oh, I'm not going to be able to remember now, am I? Oh, read a book with a strong female character, and that was for Jessie. I thought that was going to be my last prompt, and I thought, well, Jessie reminds me of my little girl, because my little girl's always said she wanted to be a cowgirl when she grows older, and she's just got lovely red hair, and so I thought, right, Jessie's going to be my last one. This has got a strong woman main character in it. This is the one I'm going to pick. So that was for that one. So like I said, 4 stars, will recommend. Next week, oh, I can't remember the name of the book. I'll put it up here, the name of the book she's doing next week, and she'll do the same. But I'm thinking to myself, if I can't quite manage to do a bit each night, because I've got 12 new books to start with my March TBR, I think I'm going to just wait till the omnibus, listen to the omnibus, and then try and get hold of the book somehow, because I can't get it on audio book this time, but I might be able to get it in from my library. So then I thought, well, right, that's Woody's Roundup finished. But I noticed that one of the prompts was, well, I was going to do it for RC Fast Read, and then I picked the Giraffe, the Pelly and Me, which is on Sophie's shelf, so that's stealing it because I'm borrowing it. So it doesn't belong to me. I thought it's really quick, I'll do that. To be honest, I was tempted to go and do the Magic Finger as well and read that for RC, but I thought you've got to stop at some time. I want to do my wrap up. So yeah, I asked you guys to pick between the Magic Finger and the Giraffe, the Pelly and Me, and you guys picked this one. I've never read this one before, and you know what? I loved it. I've given it 5 stars, and I don't often give many middle grades 5 stars because of some of the major ones that I've read. But this story, it was just so lovely, so simple. It didn't have that sinister undertone that a lot of Roald Dahl books have, because I find that a bit disturbing, the stories that it wrote, and I know kids loved them, but when you think of like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and how all that went, and all those children being like injured in some way, SEO Trot with that fella who robs the woman's tortoise and swaps out for other ones, and Matilda with Mrs. Trunchbull, the horrible teacher, there's always a sinister undertone to it. But this one just wasn't. It was just lovely, and it's about a little boy who wants to run a sweet shop, and that's his dream, and then he meets these animals, and I won't say too much about it, but the book, the prompt was bullseye, because I thought, well, Jessie needs a horse, so doesn't she? Read a book with an animal on the cover. So I'm dying to read this one with Sophie. I loved it so much. I hope the magic finger is the same and it's not got a sinister undertones. But yeah, I give this 5 stars because I just really liked it. And I've read a lot of Roald Dahls over the last, say, 6 months, and some that I haven't read before. George's Marvelous Medicine, SEO Trot, um, The Twits, uh, oh, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and they've all been like, one got 2 stars, and quite a few got 3. But I just had to jump up for this one. I do like Matilda, and that's one of the higher up ones for me. But yeah, I had to read this one, so yeah, 5 stars. So that's it. I have loved this readathon so much. I had to bring Forky and Slinky with me to fit on. Yeah, Sophie has painted him green with nail varnish, poor Slinky. I have loved this. I think I had about 11 or 12 people on my team for Team Sunnyside Daycare that I knew about. I love doing reading sprints with the girls on YouTube. We were thinking of doing it this weekend, and then a lot of us weren't feeling up to it. But it's been a weird all week for me. I was diagnosed with vertigo, so I'm at the minute taking anti-sickness meds to stop myself feeling ill, and they seem to be stopping the nausea, so fingers crossed I'll feel more like myself over the coming weeks. But yeah, so it's been a weird all week, and I know a few of the girls couldn't make it for different reasons. I didn't feel like it, so we didn't do any more, but I would love for us to work together in future. This is wonderful. I know that Lily is planning doing another Pixarathon, Readathon coming soon, so I'm looking forward to that. I will always take part with that. And yeah, so the next thing is to do my March TBR, but then for April I've got Eurovisionathon coming up. So if you are missing the Toy Story Woody's Roundup Readathon and want to get involved in something else, please consider Eurovisionathon. It's got its own Twitter page, and the announcement video for Eurovisionathon and all the rules and things will be going up the week beginning the 23rd and 21st of March, so look out for it then. I'm hoping to do it on the Monday, but we'll see. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes, but please join in on that. So I don't think 11 books for this month was bad. I'm chuffed with that. This month was a lot more relaxed than previous months. I didn't feel as tired because I actually thought, yeah, if I do me 6 books for my team, great, which I did, and then I ended up reading 4 others, stealing 4 others. But I always knew that I just mainly wanted to do those 6, so it wasn't as pressured. So that's why I'm glad that in April, yeah, Eurovisionathon starts on the 24th of April to the 22nd of May. So that means April, the beginning of April, I can just mood read, and that's what I'm really excited about. So yeah, that's my wrap up for this month. Hope it wasn't too chaotic. Won't be wearing this for a while. This belongs to Sophie now, and I forgot to put my Pizza Planet t-shirt on, but never mind. It's been one of those weeks. So yeah, let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know if you took part in the readathon, no matter what team you were. Shout out to my team as well. And let me know if you fancy taking part in Eurovisionathon, because you just have to read books related to the 41 countries. And if you can't find the list, just go onto my Twitter and it's my banner on there. You'll be able to sign up soon, and I'll see you next time. Bye.